Ryan Blake was never just my best friend. At least, that was what I believed for most of my life. When I think about my childhood, I can hardly remember a day when Ryan wasn't somewhere beside me. We grew up on the same street, in houses so close that we could shout from one bedroom window to the other. We played football until our mothers called us home. We fought over stupid things, stopped talking for an hour, then forgot why we were angry in the first place. Once, when we were 12, Ryan looked at me and said, "No matter what happens, we'll always have each other's backs." I laughed. "Even when we're old? Especially when we're old. You promise?" Ryan held out his little finger. "Promise." I hooked my finger around his. Back then, I thought promises made in childhood could never break. Years later, life taught me how wrong I was. When my parents died, everything changed. The house that once felt warm suddenly became painfully quiet. I remember sitting alone in my room, staring at the floor, unable to understand how the people I had depended on my whole life could simply be gone. Ryan was the one person who kept coming back. He never asked me to explain how I felt. He would just sit beside me. Sometimes we wouldn't even speak. One night, I finally whispered, "Ryan, what am I supposed to do now?" He looked at me and said, "You don't have to know yet. I feel like I lost everything." "You didn't lose everything." I looked at him. He put his hand on my shoulder. "You still have me." Those 3 words stayed with me for years. Maybe that's why I trusted him so completely. I didn't see Ryan as someone who could betray me. I saw him as family. And by the time I met Olivia, I thought my life was finally becoming whole again. Olivia wasn't just my girlfriend. She was the person I imagined building a future with. We had been together long enough that our conversations had naturally moved from dating to marriage, from weekend plans to the K. Sophia looked at Ryan and smiled. "So, how long have you two known each other?" "Almost our entire lives," I answered. Ryan laughed. "Unfortunately, yes." I pushed his shoulder. "Unfortunately? You were annoying. You were worse." Sophia laughed again. "I think I'm starting to understand why Ethan talks about you so much." Ryan looked at me with a grin. "See? Your sister already likes me more than you. Don't get comfortable." We all laughed, but for some reason, I noticed Ryan looking at Sophia for a second longer than necessary. It was brief, so brief that I almost ignored it. Then Sophia asked, "What was Ethan like when you were kids?" Ryan smiled. "Stubborn, impulsive, and always convinced he was right." I shook my head. "That sounds exactly like you." Ryan laughed. "Maybe that's why we've survived each other for so long." I smiled at them. Watching my best friend and my sister getting along made me genuinely happy. I thought I was bringing 2 important parts of my life closer together. I didn't realize I was giving Ryan another door into my life. After a few more minutes, Sophia went into the kitchen to bring us some drinks. Ryan watched her walk away, then looked back at me. "You're lucky," he said. I smiled. "I know. You have a good sister. She means everything to me." Ryan nodded slowly. "I can tell." I leaned back on the sofa. "And soon, I'll have Olivia too." Ryan smiled. "You're really serious about marrying her. More serious than I've ever been about anything." He looked at me for a moment. "Does she know?" "No." "So, you're keeping the proposal secret?" "Completely." Ryan laughed. "That's risky. I want it to be special." "You already have a place in mind?" "Not yet." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "You haven't even picked the restaurant?" I shook my head. "That's why I wanted to talk to you." "About what?" "I need your help." Ryan smiled immediately. "Anything." I felt relieved. "I want to take Olivia somewhere that means something to her. Somewhere she loves. I don't want some random expensive restaurant. I want the night to feel personal." Ryan nodded. "That makes sense." Sophia returned with 3 glasses and placed them on the table. "What are you two planning?" I looked at Ryan. He grinned. "Ethan is finally going to propose." Sophia's eyes widened. "Wait, seriously?" I laughed. "Keep your voice down." She sat beside me. "Oh my God, Ethan. That's amazing. I'm still planning everything." Sophia smiled. "She'll say yes." "I hope so. She loves you." Hearing those words made my chest feel warm. Ryan leaned forward. "What's her favorite restaurant?" I looked at him. "Why?" "So I can help you." I laughed. "You're taking this seriously." "Of course I am. You're my brother." That sentence made me smile. I trusted him. Without thinking twice, I told him the restaurant Olivia loved most. I even told him what she usually ordered. Ryan listened carefully. Then he smiled. Leave the planning to me. I laughed. Don't steal my proposal. Ryan picked up his phone and opened his notes. Tell me again, he said. What's the restaurant called? I repeated the name. He typed it quickly. And what does Olivia usually order? I told him. Ryan nodded. Perfect. Sophia looked between us. You two are acting like you're planning a military operation. I laughed. I'm trying to make this perfect. Ryan pointed at me. Exactly. That's why I'm helping. Sophia smiled. Then I expect to hear about the proposal when it happens. You'll be one of the first people I tell. Ryan leaned back. You better not forget me. Forget you. I laughed. After everything we've been through? Ryan smiled. Good answer. For a moment, I felt completely at peace. I looked at my sister sitting beside me and then at Ryan across from us. These were the people I trusted most. I thought about my parents and wondered what they would have thought if they could see me now. My mother would probably cry. My father would probably shake my hand and tell me to take care of Olivia. And Ryan? Ryan had been there through every difficult chapter of my life. I couldn't imagine celebrating my future without him. Ryan suddenly asked, When are you thinking about doing it? Soon. How soon? I smiled. Very soon. He laughed. You're nervous. Of course I'm nervous. You've known Olivia for years. Knowing someone doesn't make proposing less scary. Ryan looked at me seriously. She'll say yes. You really think so? I know so. His confidence made me relax. Thanks. Ryan nodded. Just promise me one thing. What? When you marry her, don't disappear on me. I laughed. Never. He held out his hand. Promise. I shook it. Promise. That old childhood promise came back into my mind. The same promise we had made years ago. No matter what happened, we'd always have each other's backs. I believed that promise still meant something. I believed Ryan meant every word. Sophia stood, walked back into the living room, and looked at the empty chair where Ryan had been sitting. For some reason, I smiled. I couldn't explain why I felt so hopeful. Maybe it was because, after years of loss, my life finally seemed to be moving in the right direction. My parents were gone, but I still had Sophia. I had Olivia, and I had Ryan. At least, that's what I believed. I picked up my phone and opened Olivia's messages. Are you free this weekend? I typed. Her reply came quickly. For you? Always. I smiled at the screen. I wanted to tell her everything. I wanted to tell her that I had already bought the ring. I wanted to tell her that I had imagined our wedding, our home, and the life we would build together. But I kept the secret. I wanted the proposal to be perfect. A few minutes later, Ryan sent me a message. Don't worry, brother. I've got everything under control. I stared at those words and smiled. Thanks, Ryan, I whispered. Then I placed my phone on the table and looked toward the window. I had no idea what was waiting for me. I didn't know Ryan would use the information I had given him for something I could never have imagined. I didn't know that the restaurant I had chosen for my proposal would soon become the place where my trust would begin to die. I only knew that I loved Olivia. I trusted Ryan, and I believed my future was safe. That night, I went to sleep believing I was one step away from the happiest moment of my life. I was wrong. I had not opened the door to my future. I had opened the door to my betrayal. First noticed something different about Olivia on a Tuesday evening, but I told myself it was nothing. We were sitting together on the couch after dinner. Normally, Olivia would put her phone aside and talk to me about her day. That night, she kept checking the screen every few minutes. Finally, I asked, Everything okay? Yeah, she answered quickly. Who keeps messaging you? No one important. She immediately turned the phone face down. I looked at her. Then why did you hide it? I didn't hide anything, Ethan. You literally turned it over. She sighed and rubbed her forehead. I'm just tired. You've been saying that a lot lately. Because I am tired. Is something wrong at work? No. Is it your family? No. Then what is it? She looked at me for several seconds before saying, Why does there have to be something? I didn't know how to answer. Because you feel different. She looked away. I am stressed. Okay. About what? Everything. Everything. Yes, Ethan. Work, family, responsibilities, the future. Sometimes I just need space. I nodded slowly. I can give you space. That's not what I meant. Then tell me what you mean. She became quiet. For a moment, I thought she might finally tell me what was bothering her. Instead, she stood up. I haven't eaten yet. I can make something. No, she answered too quickly. I'll handle it. I watched her walk toward the kitchen. Olivia. She stopped. You've really been distant lately. She turned around. I've just been stressed. Are you sure? Yes. Because if something is bothering you, you can tell me. I know. Then talk to me. She walked back and sat beside me. I don't want you worrying about things that aren't real. Histoire de rire. What does that mean? It means nothing is happening. Okay. Do you trust me? The question caught me off guard. Of course I trust you. Then trust me. I nodded. Okay. I will. The next morning, I woke up before Olivia. I reached for my phone, checked the time, and then looked toward her side of the bed. She was already awake. She was sitting near the window, quietly looking at her phone. I rubbed my eyes. Olivia. She quickly locked the screen. Morning. I sat up. You're awake early. Couldn't sleep. Everything okay? She smiled. I'm fine. You don't look fine. She sighed. Ethan, please don't start again. I'm not starting anything. I'm asking. I said I'm fine. I nodded, but I couldn't ignore the feeling in my chest. She stood and walked toward the bathroom. Where are you going? I have somewhere to be. Where? She stopped. I told you. I have things to do. What things? She looked irritated. Why are you questioning me like this? I'm not questioning you. I'm just trying to understand. I'll be back later. When? I don't know. Olivia. She turned around. What? You used to tell me everything. Her expression softened for a moment. I still do. Then where are you going? She hesitated. I'm meeting a friend. Which friend? Someone from work. Who? Ethan, does it matter? Histoire de rire. Yes. A little. She shook her head. I don't want another argument. Neither do I. Then let it go. She picked up her bag and walked toward the door. Before leaving, she turned back. I love you. I forced a smile. I love you too. The door closed. I sat alone in the apartment. I wanted to call her. I wanted to ask who she was meeting. Instead, I stopped myself. She needs space, I whispered. That explanation was easier to accept than the alternatives. Later that afternoon, I went to work and tried to focus on my projects. That's when I noticed something else. Ryan had started spending more time with Sophia. At first, I thought it was a good thing. When I called Sophia during lunch, she answered with a laugh. What are you laughing about? Not. I left Grace's office feeling irritated. Not because I was angry at her. I was angry because a small part of me had actually listened. I walked back to my desk and tried to focus, but her words kept repeating in my head. Sometimes the person you trust most is the person you stop watching. I shook my head. No, you whispered. Ryan would never do that to me. A few minutes later, my phone rang. It was Ryan. I answered immediately. Hey, brother. Hey, Ethan. You sound serious. I'm fine. Are you sure? Yeah. He laughed. You're terrible at lying. I smiled despite myself. Maybe I'm just tired. Work getting crazy? A little. Listen, I was thinking about the proposal. I leaned back in my chair. What about it? I found a few ideas for the restaurant. You did? Yeah. I want everything to be perfect for you. I smiled. Thanks, man. No problem. There was a short silence. Then he asked, How's Olivia? I paused. She's okay. Just okay. She's been stressed lately. Work? I think so. Ryan sounded concerned. Did you two argue? No. You sure? Ryan, why are you asking so many questions? He laughed. Because you're my best friend. I smiled. Fair enough. Then he said, Just take care of her. I always do. I know. We ended the call a minute later. I stared at my phone. Grace's warning came back again, but I pushed it away. That evening, Olivia came home later than usual. I was sitting in the living room when she entered. She looked surprised to see me awake. You're still up? I was waiting for you. She put her bag down. Why? I wanted to see you. She smiled faintly. I'm here now. I stood. Where were you? She looked at me. I told you. I was with a friend. Which friend? She hesitated. Why does it matter? Because you were gone for hours. I lost track of time. I nodded. Okay. She walked toward the bedroom. Then I noticed her purse. Something incy. Watched Olivia walk into the bedroom, but I stayed in the living room. The receipt was still lying on the table. I picked it up again. The restaurant name stared back at me. I remembered Ryan asking me about it. What's Olivia's favorite restaurant? At the time, I had smiled. Now, that memory felt different. I shook my head. No, you whispered. I'm overthinking this. I folded the receipt and placed it back on the table. A few minutes later, Olivia came out of the bedroom. She had changed into comfortable clothes and was carrying a glass of water. You're still thinking about that receipt? I looked at her. A little. She sighed. Ethan, I already explained. I know. Then why are you still upset? I'm not upset. You look upset. I looked away. I just don't understand why you couldn't tell me where you were. She sat across from me. I didn't think it mattered. It matters to me. She became quiet. I lowered my voice. Is there something you're not telling me? Her expression changed. No. Are you sure? Yes. Then look at me and say it. She slowly raised her eyes. There is nothing going on. I held her gaze. Okay. She reached across the table and took my hand. Do you trust me? I hesitated. Then I said, yes. She squeezed my hand. Then please stop looking for problems. I nodded. I'll try. She smiled. Thank you. I wanted to believe her. I really did. The next day, I met Grace again at work. She noticed immediately that something was wrong. You look exhausted. I didn't sleep much. Why? I sat down. Olivia went to that restaurant. Grace's expression changed. What restaurant? The one Ryan asked me about. She became silent. You see why I was worried? I nodded. But she said she was with a friend. Which friend? She wouldn't tell me. Grace leaned back. Ethan, I'm not trying to scare you. Then what are you trying to do? I'm trying to make you pay attention. I stared at the message until my eyes started to hurt. I read it again. You don't know what your girlfriend and your best friend are doing behind your back. My fingers tightened around the phone. Who sent this? I looked at the number. Unknown. I immediately typed. Who are you? I waited. Nothing. I sent another message. What are you talking about? Still nothing. I stood up and walked across the room. My heart was pounding. I wanted to call Olivia. I wanted to call Ryan. But I stopped. If the message was a lie, I would only create a problem. If it was true, calling them would warn them. I sat down again. Think, Ethan. I tried to remember everything. Olivia hiding her phone. Olivia disappearing for hours. The restaurant receipt. Ryan asking about her favorite restaurant. Grace warning me. Sophia telling me Ryan had become closer to her. Everything suddenly seemed connected. But I didn't want it to be. You whispered? No. Ryan wouldn't. My phone vibrated. I nearly dropped it. Another message appeared. Look at the restaurant. That was all. I stared at those words. The restaurant. The same place. My stomach tightened. I grabbed my jacket. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but I knew I couldn't sit there pretending everything was normal. Before I reached the door, Olivia called. I froze. Then I answered. Hey, where are you? Home. You sound strange. I'm Phoenix. There was silence. Then she asked, Are you sure? I closed my eyes. Yeah. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow. Olivia. Yes. Do you love me? She went quiet. Of course I do. I swallowed. I love you too. Why are you asking? No reason. She laughed softly. Good night, Ethan. Good night. The call ended. I stood there holding my phone. For the first time in my life, I wasn't sure whether the woman I loved was telling me the truth. I hated that feeling. I hated the doubt. And most of all, I hated that Samion. For the next several days, I couldn't stop thinking about the anonymous message. I kept asking myself the same question. Who sent it? I checked the number again and again, but there was nothing useful. I even replied several times. Tell me who you are. Give me proof. Why are you warning me? There was never another answer. I tried to act normal around Olivia, but I couldn't. One evening, she noticed. Why are you so quiet? I've just been thinking. About what? I looked at her. Us. Her expression tightened. Is something wrong? I don't know. She sighed. Ethan, I already told you. Nothing is wrong. I nodded. I know, but I didn't know. I was watching her more carefully now. Every phone call, every message, every excuse. Still, I found nothing definite. Then Ryan started calling me almost every day. Don't worry about Olivia, he told me. Why do you keep saying that? Because you're stressing yourself out. I laughed weakly. Maybe you're right. Of course I am. I'm your brother. Those words made me feel guilty. I was secretly doubting the man I had trusted my entire life. Maybe Grace had been wrong. Maybe the anonymous message was just a cruel lie. Maybe I was destroying my own relationship because of fear. Then, without warning, Sophia stopped talking about Ryan. Whenever I mentioned his name, she became strangely quiet. I assumed they had argued. I didn't know the real reason yet. The change in Sophia bothered me more than I wanted to admit. One afternoon, I called her. "Hey, sophomore. How are you?" "I am okay. You sound tired." "I'm just busy." I smiled. "Busy enough to forget your brother?" She laughed softly. "Never." "Good. I wanted to ask you something." "What?" "How are things with Ryan?" The silence that followed was longer than I expected. "Sophia, I don't really want to talk about him." I sat up. "Did something happen?" "No." That didn't sound like no. She sighed. "Ethan, please leave it alone." I frowned. "Did you two have an argument?" "Something like that." "What happened?" "I don't want to get into it." "Is he okay?" "I don't know." Her answer confused me. "You don't know?" "I haven't spoken to him." "Since when?" "A few days." I felt a strange sense of relief. Maybe Ryan had simply upset her. "Whatever happened, I'm sure you two can work it out." Sophia became quiet again. Then she said, "Maybe some things aren't worth fixing." Her words stayed with me. "What does that mean?" "I'll explain someday." "Why not now?" "Because I'm not ready." I wanted to push her, but I stopped. "Okay. Thanks for understanding." "Of course." After we ended the call, I sat there thinking about Ryan. I couldn't understand why Sophia had suddenly pulled away from him. A few hours later, Ryan called. "Hey, brother." "Hey, you sound distracted." I was talking to Sophia. He became quiet. "Is she okay?" "I think so." "Did she say anything about me?" I noticed a change in his voice. "She said you two had an argument." Ryan sighed. "It's nothing." "What happened?" "She misunderstood something." "What?" "It's complicated." I frowned. "Ryan, she's my sister." "I know." "Then tell me." He paused. "I don't want to put you in the middle. You're already putting me there." He laughed weakly. "Trust me, Ethan. It's better if you stay out of it." I didn't like that answer. "What d?" The next evening, I went to Sophia's apartment. When I walked inside, I found several old boxes stacked near the hallway. "You weren't joking," I said. Sophia laughed. "I told you I needed help. You could have asked Ryan." Her smile disappeared. "Please don't mention him." I immediately noticed her reaction. "Okay." I picked up the first box. "Where do you want this?" "Bedroom." I carried it inside and placed it beside her closet. "What's in all these?" "Old clothes, photographs, things from our parents." I looked at another box. "You still have all that?" I couldn't throw it away. "I understand." We worked quietly for a few minutes. Then Sophia pointed toward an old storage bag. "That one needs to go into the closet." I picked it up. It was heavier than I expected. "What did you put in here?" "Probably old books." I opened the bag. "Nope." "What?" "Definitely not books." Inside were several smaller bags and old envelopes. Sophia walked over. "Just put in the closet." I reached inside. Then my fingers touched something hard. An envelope. I pulled it out. Sophia suddenly froze. "Ethan." "What?" "Put that back." I looked at her. "Why?" "It's nothing." I turned the envelope over. There was no name on it. "No name. Please." Something about her voice made me suspicious. "What's inside?" "I don't know. You just told me to put it back." She looked away. "I don't want to talk about it." I slowly opened the envelope. Sophia stepped forward. "Ethan, don't." I pulled out the first photograph. My entire body went cold. It was Ryan. I stared at the picture. He was standing outside a restaurant. Then I pulled out another. My hand started shaking. This time, Olivia was with him. I looked at Sophia. "What is this?" She said nothing. I pulled out another photograph. Ryan and Olivia were sitting together at the exact restaurant I had been told she visited with a friend. Another picture showed them walk. I drove straight to Olivia's apartment. The entire way there, I kept looking at the envelope sitting on the passenger seat. Every photograph felt like another piece of my heart being torn apart. When Olivia opened the door, she smiled. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" "We need to talk." Her smile disappeared. "About what?" I held up the envelope. "About this." She looked at it. Then her face went completely pale. "Where did you get that?" "So you recognize it." She stepped backward. "Ethan, please come inside." I walked in. "Tell me the truth." She looked down. "I can explain." "Then explain." "It's not what you think." I almost laughed. I'm holding pictures of you with Ryan. She covered her mouth. I never wanted you to find out like this. How did you want her to find out? She started crying. I don't know. How long? She didn't answer. I raised my voice. How long, Olivia? A few weeks. My chest tightened. A few weeks. Yes. You've been seeing him for weeks? I was confused. Confused. I didn't know what I was feeling. Histoire de hair. You didn't know what you were feeling while you were holding his hand. She cried harder. It wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. Yes. Did you love him? She wiped her tears. I don't know. You don't know. I cared about him. I felt my eyes burn. And me? I cared about you too. I shook my head. That's not an answer. She stepped closer. I still love you. I looked at her. For one terrible second, hope returned. Then choose me. She froze. Ethan, choose me, Olivia. I don't know if I can. My heart sank. Why? She looked away. Because Ryan made me question everything. Histoire de hair. What did he say? She hesitated. Tell me. He said you were never going to give me the life I wanted. I felt the room disappear around me. What? She began crying again. He said you were too comfortable, that you would never tea.